Should tell me recorded. Recorded in progress.
Good morning. On that note, we are recording, and this is Richardson speaking and actually recording with you from Toronto, Canada. It is Monday morning, March the 24th, 2023. And my guest this morning, somebody who I don't think I'd ever heard of until last night, and I was watching a Twitter thread, and it's my distinct honor and privilege to introduce to you Jeff Steiner, who is running for election in the Democrats Abroad organization. We'll certainly talk about that. Is a supporter of RBT, and we'll certainly talk about that. And I think hails from the Los Angeles area in the United States, and maybe
Los Angeles.
A bit with that. So how are you, Jeff?
I'm fine. How you doing? How's Toronto?
Toronto is very, very good today. Okay, we're coming to the end of March. It's kind of nice, cool weather, but I tell you, when it heats up here, it's horrible. It's a very difficult city. So, yeah. All right.
Well,
so born and bred in Los Angeles. Is that the deal?
That's the deal. Yeah. I was born and bred in Los Angeles, went to Dodger Stadium when I was young, very well, younger. I was in that area, so I used to go to baseball games all the time. And that's where I spent basically until I was 26, 25, I think, years old. And when I left LA for the first time to go to Central America, where I lived for a year.
And you were able to survive a lack of.
I was able to. I really liked it. Yeah, I liked it. I liked living in. I had a great time. I had a great time doing what I did in Nicaragua. That was fun. And then I came back. I came back to LA for a while, and then did some other stuff. Spent some time in New York, and in New York a little bit in Boston, and then I went to France for the first time in the middle '90s.
Okay, interesting. So I mean, this sounds to me like you were employed or something or other during these years. So what do you do? Like, how do you identify as what kind of?
Well, when I was in Nicaragua, I did. What's that? I didn't hear you.
Well, where does your money come from? You're in.
Where did my money come from? Well, I'm very frugal. I don't spend a lot. First of all, I don't spend a lot. I lived off my parents. I was I lived off my parents for a while, at least. But I did some humanitarian work in Nicaragua, so I had a stipend. I was paid a little bit. And then I had to work in Boston for a while. When I was in Boston, I had to work with my wife, my late wife. I worked actually at the school district in Boston. I actually had a job with the school district. That was pretty good. And in LA, I was a carpenter, cabinet maker. I used to do that. Did that for a long time. That was really fun.
Interesting. Okay, so basically, you've though been outside the United States, and my impression is that you consider yourself living permanently outside the United States at this point. It seems to be your center of gravity in every way.
Yeah, my home is. Yeah, my home is here. Yeah, my home is in France right now. That's for sure. I always check that. There's a box. Are you going to come back? Are you thinking of coming back? I always check. Well, I think I'm going to stay whenever.
Okay. So you're involved with Democrats Abroad. Is that a new thing, an old thing, a medium thing? How long have you been involved?
Well, I am a lifelong Democrat. I mean, I've always voted Democrat. I don't think I've voted Democrat or third parties as it was. So I've done that, and I was a member I've been a member at least since 2016, I think, but it's difficult to know. I can't remember exactly when I joined. But I've been with the Taxation Task Force since 2002. I've been involved with the Taxation Task Force, trying to learn more about the tax issues, to understand more, because we have, as Americans, we have a unique situation as it was.
Yeah, and it's hard to learn. Well, that's my experience of it, that it's hard to learn. I don't know about your experience. How do you experience learning about it?
Yeah, well, you learn about it by trial and error. You learn so when I moved in 2001, I didn't really know about it. Like a lot of people, I don't think when I first was living abroad, I didn't know about it either.
You didn't move abroad to avoid U.S. taxation, did you?
No, I don't know why anyone would move to France to avoid taxation. I don't really understand that one. I don't. If you have any wealth, why would you move to France? To just, it makes no sense. It makes absolutely no sense. I would go to Nevada, maybe, because then you're not going to have much taxes. You're not going to Wyoming. That's where it's at. Yeah. So you do that. You wouldn't go to France. I don't, or maybe Dubai, which has no taxes. That I could understand now.
Yeah,
So,
I mean, you're not moving to any first world democracy to avoid taxation. That is for sure. Yeah,
no, it's something that's what I would. Yeah, I would definitely agree with that.
So at some point, you learned about American Exceptionalism Taxation Edition.
Yeah. I learned about it little by little, and had a few like that. Everybody gets a little bit. You kind of have that feeling, oh shit, what did I do? Type, I didn't do this, I didn't do that, I didn't file for all these years. And then you got to find an accountant if you got to go back and do it. So you go back and you do your filing now. You find out about things like F-bars, which it took me a long time to discover F-bars. So I have that. And then thanks to FATCA, I've had to tell my bank about, give my bank my social security number. So I've had that issue too. So little by little, I've learned these things, and that's why I started. That's why in 2022 I decided to get involved, try to learn a little bit more with the taxation task force.
Well, I think that's a great thing, and I think that frankly, all Americans abroad should thank those of you who, who take the time to learn about this and think about solutions and lobby for solutions. So thank you very much for that.
No problem.
All right, so 2022, you joined the Democrats Abroad Taxation Task Force, and this is, I think I'm right that was the year that Rebecca Lammers became the
Rebecca Lammers
the head of it or the chair of it or whatever
I think she's the chair. Yeah, she was the chair. She took it over and she became the chair in 2022. Yeah, and
so that was sort of a major boost, wasn't it? At least that's my impression.
Yeah, no, she's incredibly enthusiastic, and it's definitely works like crazy to get us doing things and to get us on track. So she runs. I think she runs the UK too. She's involved.
She lives in London. Yeah, no, she definitely has worked very, very hard and continues to work hard. And I think that anybody who works hard in this area, deserves a lot of credit.
Yeah, she definitely deserves a lot of credit.
Absolutely. Yeah. Okay, so so you're involved in the DA or Democrat Taxation Task Force. I'm just going to call it the tax group, okay, because that's too much of a mouthful. But the DA, which is great, and and then I notice you're running for this position, and I wonder if you would tell me what it is you're running for, why you're running for it, and what you intend to do if elected. So let's start off with what's this election about? That's April 1st.
It's April 1st. It's a national election for DA France, Democrats Abroad France. And then you have a bunch of different offices, vice chair, secretary, there's organizer, there's community outreach organizer, and then you have a slate of what are called voting representatives that will vote. They don't vote as a block; they'll vote individually within Democrats Abroad as a worldwide organization. There's usually meetings once a year, and you get there. You vote. There's different issues, there's different proposals that are put on the table, and you debate them, and you try to understand them, and you have to vote on them.
Okay, so members of Democrats Abroad France, those members who are elected, play a role broadly in DA because they have the right to vote on the various issues that require voting. Is that what's going on?
Yeah, they have the right. Yeah, they have the right to vote in the I don't know if it's called the General Assembly, but the yearly meeting.
Okay, in other words, they matter.
Yeah, they matter. I think they matter. Yeah, absolutely. Yes, absolutely, they matter. And I think
Okay.
that's
So to summarize, then you are running so that your vote matters, so that your thoughts and votes matter.
exactly.
Okay, now I read your. I mean, this is the first time we've met or talked. Okay, so I don't know a great deal about you, but I was very much intrigued. With some of your tweets, right, where you're saying very specifically that you support RBT and I think FATCA repeal.
Yeah, those are my two. Right. Those are the things that the residency-based taxation change in the U.S. system, uh, so that we can go to residency-based taxation, and then repeal of FATCA.
Okay.
Those are the two things that those are my two things. I mean, if I'm elected, I'm also going to represent France. I'm going to represent the Democrats abroad in France. And so there's other issues.
There are other issues, but what's interesting to me is that is your sort of identifying feature, right? That's why I said, I'm Jeff, vote for me. Why should I vote for you? Well, because I support RBT and FATCA repeal.
Yeah.
And interestingly, I read your, you have a website, jeffsteiner.com, and, I clicked on it. And what I saw was a fairly short statement of
right. You can't really, yeah, you can't.
It really was that, right? I mean, it wasn't a bunch of other stuff. And by the way, in addition, I mean, really, that was it, right? That's what you're doing, which is
right.
Obviously, I think that's great. But it makes me wonder, as I was looking at this, I was thinking, the most interesting thing about this is not that Jeff is defining himself as somebody who supports RBT and FATCA repeal, but the most interesting thing is that this must mean that there are people running who don't particularly support or prioritize those two things.
Well, I don't know if they supported it or not. I think that it's not necessarily a priority for a lot of, I think Americans, and I like a lot of Americans. It's not that they don't, it's not a priority. They don't necessarily understand. I think that probably many of them don't file taxes. So why should this matter? There's probably some people who just don't care, who are whatever they support, um, citizen-based taxation. There are some.
Well, they don't feel it's an issue. They don't feel that it's an issue for them. So, I mean, on one hand, if sort of a multiple choice question dangled out of the sky and you said, well, do you support RBT? They might check off, yeah, sure, why not? Okay.
Right.
But it's not like this is the issue that they're running on and they're passionate about. And to me, I mean, that means that you obviously file U.S. taxes, because only people who file U.S. taxes understand the issue, right?
That's a good point. Only people that file U.S. taxes really, it's exactly the right, and who do their F bars.
Yeah, if they do one, they probably do the other.
If you one, you got almost have to do the other.
Schedule B question. Do you have an accountant? However they phrase it now.
I don't know how they phrase it. I just did mine, and I mean,
well, it's pretty clear what they're after.
Yeah, that's what they're. It's
all right. Yeah, so this is very very interesting, and I think it's important, perhaps for listeners to realize, or I think, well, I will offer this as a thought, for whatever, but there's a difference between, yeah, sure, given a choice, I'd rather have RBT, which is where I think a lot of people may be, and somebody like Jeff or Rebecca or various other members of the DA tax group who I've met who say, no, this is more than I support RBT. This is what we're going to make happen. Okay, like this is a really, really big issue. And, you appear to me to be solidly in the camp of this is a big, big issue. And obviously I agree with you.
Yeah, it is. And I think that I think you need to educate people. At least they can understand more about it.
Why do you think they don't understand it?
Well, I think it's difficult to understand. I don't think it's a simple question. I don't think it's something that's sexy. It's not necessarily sexy, and it's also can be also very divisive too, because then you're talking about taxes, but it's not really taxation, but it's not really taxes, because I've lived outside America, and I've never once had to pay. I've paid taxes because I'm under the exclusion. So it's not, to me, it's not necessarily having to pay taxes, though that could happen. Quite honest.
Well, what if you were to sell your home? What if you were to sell
exactly, exactly. That's the thing that could happen, and that would really like it pissed off Boris Johnson. That would be something that I would be that would right now until then. So it's in that respect, yeah. So in that respect, it's more right now for me. It's more of a hassle than anything else. But I think it could be the double taxation, which
Well,
makes
to put it
which
another
makes
way, at this stage in your life, given how you're experiencing your life at the moment, you're not paying U.S. taxes, but you're one small life change away from big
we're
trouble.
away from being trapped, having to have to do that. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I don't mind. I agree. We have to pay taxes from where we live. I think everybody should have to pay taxes. That I think that but I don't think paying taxes in two countries, unless you have two countries where you have the sources, right? And that I can understand. If you did have
Well, the source thing is not the issue. I mean, everybody agrees that money sourced in a country is taxable by that country. Everybody agrees that if you live in a country, you should be taxed by that country. But the problem with this U.S. thing is that the only real meaning that citizenship taxation has is that it allows the United States to impose taxation on non-U.S. source income on non-U.S. residents who are taxed by countries. In effect, it allows them, under the guise of some completely idiotic law that nobody can understand, to come in and say, you people in France, you may think that you're actually French tax residents, but no, you're U.S. tax residents, right? That's the problem here.
That's the problem, yeah. And a lot of people who don't even know that. The U.S. persons, when my wife was alive, we gave up her green card. It was the best thing we ever did.
Damn right it was. Oh my God, you have no idea.
And I didn't even understand that when we did it. We did it because we had an issue thinking that if she went back, there would be a problem when she entered or something. I didn't understand it was about
immigration. You just saw it as an immigration issue.
I thought it was an immigration issue. And it's like, it's not an immigration issue. It's not at all an immigration issue. Yeah. And I think that I had talked to a couple of accountants U.S. accountants who work with U.S. persons abroad, and they don't understand, a lot of people don't understand that they're technically supposed to file taxes. And it's not different than the immigration law. It's different than the Treasury, the tax law. People don't understand that at all. You don't have the card, it's expired, but you're still considered a U.S.
Oh, that's right. I mean, it's a terrible problem. I mean, the reason that it's called a green card is because it's actually kryptonite, right?
If it's like this. If you live in America, I think it's great you have a green card. I know people that have green cards. My wife had a green card, so I think that's great. But when you leave and you're not going to come back, no. And I know some other people too that have given up their green card too, including somebody who had a business.
Yeah,
that was the smartest thing. Because that was definitely the smartest
so
thing.
That was the luckiest, smartest decision you ever made, was getting rid of your wife's green card. Yeah, absolutely right.
Yeah, exactly.
So tell me, it's amazing to me, right? Because it's almost like a mental disconnect. You have this organization called Democrats Abroad, right? And initially you think, because it's called Democrats Abroad, that that it must somehow represent the interests of Americans abroad. But in fact, that's absolutely not true. It's an organization designed to introduce America, to Americans abroad who might want to be Democrats and get their vote. Is primarily what it's about, right?
Well, I'm not sure I would agree 100% with that, because I haven't been elected yet, so things could change. But generally speaking, I think, it's mostly about getting people to vote Democrat in America.
Because that's the only thing that could explain, that somehow or other, I mean, this is like, you're an extraordinary guy, Jeff. I mean, you may not know it, but you really are. because you are identifying as a member of Democrats abroad who's actually running on a platform of getting rid of RBT and FATCA. And I don't know that, I mean, I don't know that I've seen that before. There may be others, but it's
maybe
certainly a minority.
the minority. We'll see how the election goes. So you might never see it again. But I think that Americans abroad, we have a different set of issues. I understand people that associate as an American the issues of America's in American, the right to abortion, etc., which I think is free, pro-choice, etc. That I can understand. I think that's legitimate. But I think we have other issues that are unique, and because maybe it wouldn't be so much if we didn't have citizen-based taxation. Maybe it would be different. I don't know. I've never, as a French person, I'm also a French citizenship. I've never lived outside of France, so maybe things are going to be different. But I think that as Americans, we have a certain set of issues that I think need to be addressed, and I think people need to realize that.
Oh, I think they clearly do need to be addressed. I think there's no doubt about it. But I just find it amazing. I mean, it seems to me that this is so obvious that I find it amazing that there's a single person, any of your colleagues, competitors, however you view them, your co-runners for these positions, would not prioritize this as an issue. It's unbelievable.
There are some. No. I'm not the only one. There are others that are. It's in their candidate statements. They want to hide. Not necessarily the way I did it. I did it a little bit, probably more forcefully than they did. They mentioned that the tax issues.
They mentioned the tax issues as part of the overall sort of who they are.
But, yeah, who they are. Yeah, exactly.
But you're sort of defining yourself in terms of the issue, which.
I think that yeah.
Well, I think this is very, very good because I think it will aid in the process of getting Democrats abroad more generally, the organization, and certainly the party, to recognize this as an issue and take it more seriously.
Yeah, I think so because I do. I think so, and I mean what I said in my statement, and I said it was not the same as on my website, that for Democrats it's a way to actually get more votes. Because if we can, I think it's a way to get
absolutely true. Anybody who makes this a priority is going to get votes.
Yeah,
the votes are right there for anybody who wants to take this issue on.
Yeah, because there's very few Americans. I think it's less than 10% Americans who can vote, do vote, that are outside of the U.S. So you have this 90% of these people who can vote. I think so. It's and I think the last time it was counted, it was under about 1 million, I think, voters from outside. So you can imagine it's a lot of people. I don't know if it's 10 million more votes or how many. I don't know how you want to.
Well, there's clearly a lot more than do vote. There's no doubt about that.
There's a lot. I mean, some do vote. Actually, they send in an absentee ballot from their home state, and they use a U.S. address with those people too. But I think for Democrats, I think for any politician, it's a way to get votes. You have this untapped. These people, and you have an untapped group of people that you can get into.
Does it surprise you that the Republican Party doesn't really seem to make, well, clearly they don't make the same effort the Democrats do to tap the overseas vote. I think they make very little effort. Does that surprise you?
Well, I'm not really sure as that would, I would, yeah, kind of, probably, I would say, yeah. Or the Libertarian Party, because it's more of a libertarian issue, I think. Well, maybe that they would do it. I don't know if there is still a Libertarian Party in the U.S., but you would think, yeah. You would think, I can't remember if it was Republicans overseas or Republicans abroad. Yeah, you would kind of think so. But one of the things that Democrats abroad, actually, to a certain degree, Democrats abroad has brought this among themselves, because within the party, there's an actual, we vote from abroad as a group, which I believe the Republicans don't do. So you have this opening where Democrats can get together and vote from overseas, so you can see how many people vote. And we're actually part of like another state in the party, I believe, is the way it's organized.
Right.
So, because it's like in France, they have a the French people outside of France actually have representation in the French parliament. So you have, and it's not very many; it's probably 5 or 6, but their issues. At least you have somebody who's representing you within the government of your home country.
Mm-hmm.
So in America, that's not at all the case. But within Democrats abroad, at least you have that possibility that you can actually influence. We can have delegates to go to the convention too to vote for the president, the nominee.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm aware of this. It's quite interesting. In fact, I think I was listening while that was going on in the last election.
Yeah.
I think, yeah. I mean, I think I'm right. I was listening. The Democrats were supported Bernie Sanders, didn't they?
I think they did. Yeah, I think they did. And I heard him speak too. I mean, when I heard him, I think it was 2016 when I heard him. When I either heard either live or it was a feed, of course. And he said, at least in theory, he said that he supported RBT. I don't know about FATCA. I don't know if that ever came up, but he said he supported RBT. So yeah. So
part of the problem is that the language citizenship taxation or doesn't really mean very much, and I think it should be redefined that what citizenship taxation really is taxation based mostly on circumstances of birth.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
And residency-based taxation is taxation based mostly on circumstances of life, right? So the real question is not RBT versus CBT. I think it's almost a meaningless question. I think the question is, should people be taxed based on where they live and how they live, or should they be taxed based on where they were born and who they are from a nationality perspective? And you put it that way, and I think the answer is pretty clear, right?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, but you put it in the language of this other stuff, and it's hard to even know what the question is because so many people correlate citizenship with residency, particularly Americans. Interestingly, isn't a citizen a resident? Or isn't a resident a citizen?
I don't know as well. I don't know because in America you do move from state to state, so you're a resident of one state and not the other. So I don't know.
It's confusing. It's confusing, and I think that the whole discussion would probably be helped by describing these things more in terms of what they mean rather than what the labels are. But
yeah, that would be nice. That would be nice. That would really be nice if we actually talked about what. Not Democrat, Republican, Libertarian, or Conservative, Liberal, Progressive, but what does that actually mean?
Sure.
What do we RBT, CBT? What are those? What do those mean actually?
Yeah. Well, I know you're running out of time here, so I want to congratulate you and thank you for this strong principle, and obviously,
thank you very much.
Stand that you're taking on this, and I never wish people luck because luck is for people who don't want to do any work. But I wish you the energy and the focus and all those things in life that make a difference. And
thank you very much. Thank you very much. It's good, it's good to talk with you.
Yeah, no, it's been great fun and meaningful. And maybe I'd like to give you the opportunity to give a bit of a campaign speech here, or how people get in touch with you, or any of that stuff that you'd like to do.
Well, they can look at my statement at jeffsteiner.com. And that's where I have my statement, what I stand for. I also have links. Any Americans in France can join Democrats abroad and vote. They have until March 30th to join, and then they can vote in the election. It's online. There will be a general meeting on April 1st, but people can vote online. That's what I did. I already voted online, so they can do that if they want. They can join, and then there's they can fill out. It's very simple to fill out the form and vote.
Great stuff, and they can find you where I did, namely on Twitter. I think your Twitter Jeff Steiner, right? Jeff
Yeah,
Steiner.
it's pretty basic.
Cool, cool.
I
Love the
got in early enough. I got in early enough, and I had a couple other. One time I had another Jeff Steiner who was running for office like 10, 15 years ago. And everybody kept on going to my website instead of his, and I put a little link. I put a little link. You can go here. I think that's fine. But no, I got in lucky. Yeah.
Well, you've had the Twitter handle, I guess, for a while, and absolutely, it's hard to get
Over 10.
Twitter handle nowadays. Wow.
Now it's no, I don't know. We'll see what Twitter is going to be around or not. I don't know.
Well, that's true too. You never know. You never know. All right, Jeff. Well, listen, thank you very, very much, and I look forward to the result of this.
Thank you.
Keeping up with you, so I gather I can keep up with you on this on Twitter, and I'd like to invite you for a part 2 after the election.
Okay, we'll see how it goes.
Well, however it goes, win, lose, or draw, I think it'd be
win, lose, or draw. All right, that sounds good. Yeah.
All right. Well, thanks a lot, Jeff. And
all right.
Have a good rest of your day.
I will. You too.
Thanks.